Wolfpack Nation, what's going on? Welcome to the 10th episode of Tuffy Talk. 10 episodes. Can you believe it? 10?
Yeah, dude, it's been really fun.
Yeah.
10 is a big number.
It is.
It's 2 digits.
Yeah, that's right. Well, thank you all so much again for tuning in. We really are excited for this episode. I got a great lineup coming to you. Going to be kind of reviewing the week a little bit, touch base on a couple of big topics, a lot of great stuff going on within state athletics this past week or two. And then we will be having a interview with Coach Kim Landrus, the head gymnastics coach. Definitely stick around for that, as that was a lot of fun. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get this thing started. What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? Today is a great day to be an NC State fan. So today we will be talking about a lot of different topics. But before we get to that, just please make sure, if you aren't already, subscribe to us by hitting the button in the bottom right-hand corner. Follow us at Tuffy Talk Now. Bam. And also, too, please like this video and check out our other content. So with that being said, a couple of big things that are going on right now in NC State. So the first big one is we found out that NC State basketball is going to the NIT, the number 3 seed, start off.
We made it in, Leighton. We made it in.
We're dancing, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's a huge sigh of relief that State agreed to it. I know that was kind of a big worry, as if the athletic department will allow us to compete. And I think for the sake of our young guards, that is going to be huge for the development into next season.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I know there was some talk about, Will State going in tournament, and I know that the Keats when they lost to Syracuse in the AC tournament, they asked him about it. He was non-committal. He said, we're going to talk about it with our team and see what's in the best interest of the players and staff. And, I know a lot of the other websites that we talk about, like Pack Pride, Inside Pack Sports, and Wolfpack are around. I know I checked on a few of them, and some of them were talking about how, if State's talking like that, then it's not sounding good for being a tournament. And, honestly, I was like, well, if they really don't play, that's really lame, because there's a little two sides to that. I thought, well, maybe State, because we were so bad, maybe we should just go all the way and just be just really bad. Like, just don't, if we're not in the NCAA tournament, don't even play NIT. But that's only like a small part of me. Like, that's me being the bitter NC State fan, not having a good season. Really, in the big picture, in the majority of how I feel about it, we need to play in this tournament. I mean, we've got a bunch of freshmen. We got 5 freshmen on the roster right now. We don't know who's coming back next season. There's, for every NC State fan out there, there's always attrition. I'm going to go ahead and throw that out there. You're going to probably see a player or two leave the program at some point, because it always happens with college basketball, and you just don't know. You may have 5 freshmen, all 5 coming back, and you may have lost some seniors down, or some juniors or sophomores down the road, some experienced players. My whole point. Yeah. And this tournament experience will be big for all of them, but I think in particular the freshmen, when you've got Hayes, Sebron, Moore, Farrar, and Gibson, and Duwana. I forgot about Duwana. So actually it's 6 freshmen. So, I learned today that it's actually not, and I didn't realize this, it's not going to be typical where you're going, unlike the NCAA tournament where you have regional sites. NIT, normally you play at that team's school. I mean, that team's on campus. But this year, because of COVID stuff, they're actually going to be playing it in San Antonio, Texas, I think is where it is.
Yep.
So that's going to be very similar, I think, environment to playing in the NCAA tournament, just going on the road, being in a regional location where all the teams play at, and having to play on a neutral site. I think that'll be really big for State. And just, you can't take away what postseason play how it can benefit your team. The only real negative thing is if someone really got injured. But apart from that, I look at it as all pros.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's as long as they can stay safe. I think that's the biggest thing that we all can hope. At the end of the day, we can't really project is can everybody stay healthy, and as long as we don't have any kind of COVID outbreak, the sky's the limit for sure with this team. Hopefully we could definitely see a bounce back after a tough loss to Syracuse in the tournament. So now we'll head into tweet of the week. So this is a huge, exciting news. Actually came out today. So Adam Schefter tweeted, Chiefs are giving former Pats offensive lineman Joe Thuney a 5-year, $80 million deal per source. So, I mean, for a guy who, I mean, came into state, not heavily recruited, played every single position, whether it was center, guard, tackle, and, you know, wasn't a huge draft pick, but then he was actually only two years ago getting paid like $700,000 a year. And now he's getting paid roughly about $16 million a year before tax. I mean, what a story. And I mean,
I know
state fans got to love that as much as any other player.
I will take it, man. If it were me, I mean, heck, who's going to turn down $1 million, let alone $80 million? Like, it's, I mean, I thought that's basically like after taxes, that's like $10 million, $11 million, roughly around there. Playing on a championship team with arguably one of the best athletic quarterbacks we've seen in the NFL with Andy Reid's team. I mean, it's the situation. He went basically. Think how cool that is to be going as a rookie, going in, getting drafted by the Patriots, playing with Tom Brady, and winning a championship. And then a couple. Yeah, that's right. Two Super Bowl rings, and then you have 1 year where you get to play with Cam Newton, who did go Super Bowl, and we all know as Panthers. Who are for all the Panthers fans like myself, to a Super Bowl and great player. But it was a down year. He only had one. Tooney's really right now only, he's moved from one bad team with this past year and now going to go play for another championship team. That's just and getting paid $16 million a year to do it. That's just awesome.
Well, and it's cool too, like, to really hang the hats on that. Because, I mean, you knew going into the offseason that was one of the big holes that the Chiefs were looking to fill, is help with the offensive line. Because, I mean, I know anybody watching Super Bowl knows that offensive line got absolutely smoked and Patrick Mahomes was running for his life. So, I mean, for the state fans to hang their hat on that, the guy they brought in to save their offensive line is a guy from NC State. I mean, gotta love that. It's another tip in the cap with.
You mentioned the offensive line. I feel like, and in this regard, I think the Panthers. I don't know. In my opinion, I think it's not a good sign. The Panthers actually got one of the offensive linemen from the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Cam Irving they signed. That's a little bit side note, but one of those offensive linemen from the Chiefs leaves the Kansas City to come to Carolina. For those who are fans, but then Joe Thuney slides in. Now Joe Thuney's not a tackle. The guy the Panthers signed as a tackle, but that's just kind of like a little connection. It's just awesome to see that for Thuney and to keep repping state the way he does. And he doesn't. One thing I like about Thuney, he doesn't talk a lot of talk. He just mauls guys. And I saw a stat today that had him. Where's it at? Let me see if I can pull it up. He had I think like only 3 sacks allowed in his entire career.
Yeah.
I mean, here's 1,733 snaps Joe Thuney has had since 2018 when he was drafted. 3 sacks.
Wow.
Out of 1,733 snaps.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, he's a very humble guy. And, I know he was there while I was a football equipment manager there. And, I mean, he was always so respectful, such a great guy. And, I mean, and you love to see that balance between skill, but also to character. So, I mean, definitely hats off to Joe Thuney. Congratulations to him. So with that being said, Wolfpack Nation, and we'll head right on over here to our interview with Coach Cam Landrus. Hope y'all enjoy it. What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? This is Leighton Smith and Macon Adams coming to you with Tuffy Talk. We are lucky enough to be here with Coach Cam Landrus of gymnastics. Coach, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, so first to kind of start off, I mean, your team this year has been very successful this year, starting off with a 11-4 record so far this season. And I know that you guys are heading into your last meet here coming up with Long Island. And so just kind of want to get your initial kind of thoughts in terms of what are some things that you think that this team has done really well this year, and then maybe what are some places that you would like this team to focus on improving heading into the postseason here.
I really think the team has embraced just getting better every day, winning the day, and every meet building on the previous meet. And we've had to change our schedule around several times this year, and so we have. All in all, we're going to have 5 away meets and 5 home meets. and they have attacked every competition the same. And then after every competition, they just get back in the gym and really reevaluate what they can do to get better for the next weekend. And so it's been really great to see them just embrace those little details in practice every day.
Love it. Yeah, no, I love that. And I mean, and I know one of the big kind of bright spots for the season so far has been Emily Shepard. I know for me and my wife who watch gymnastics, I know that she's really stood out in terms of how great she is. I mean, and it's crazy how she's only a sophomore. I mean, she's got still a lot of time so far. I know this past weekend, for those who don't know, NC Wolfpack Nation, is that she actually posted a 39.5 overall score, which is 8th highest in NC State Gymnastics history, which is crazy to think about. So I mean, Coach, I mean, the biggest thing which I know I wanted to ask was, I mean, what do you see as like the potential for her career? I mean, she's still got 2 years left. She's still got the rest of the season. I mean, what do you see as her potential, really, before she finishes here at NC State?
Well, I will say that, Emily just is the epitome of love and passion for the sport of gymnastics. And so she attacks every day in a way that just allows her to get better. And so her story is just, I love her story. She committed the day she visited, and
oh, that's awesome.
Yes, it was, she got offered and she left, and all of a sudden she was back in back in the office, and she committed, and you could just tell it was just right. And then her freshman year, she just trusted everything that was asked of her. And it didn't matter where she was in the lineup. It just didn't matter if she was in the lineup, out of the lineup. She just trusted that whatever she was being asked to do was going to get her better in the sport that she loved. And she's built on that her sophomore year. And she was 7th in our beam lineup last year. And so it was a goal of hers this year, to get in the beam lineup. And she was great last year. She just was in that role of 7th because it was a really competitive lineup. And so this year she knew what she wanted, and she chased it in a way that it got done. And the beauty of her is that her gymnastics is just like, you can watch it all day long. And so I think she's just going to continue to grow and get better on all those little details. Her skill level's there. She has great skill level. She has great presence. And it's just really delivering the little details every single competition. And she strives to do that. After every competition, she writes how she can get better the next competition. She uses, her coaches as resources to help her grow in her sport. And help her grow as a person. And I think she really has just really encompassed the entire student athlete. And so it's helped her in her sport.
Love that. Yeah, no, I love that. Especially hearing that kind of team player aspect that you kind of mentioned, that, she's all in with wherever you decide to put her and really step up to the plate. So, I mean, that's some, I think that you would agree. I mean, hopefully every athlete, strives to be an athlete like that. So really just kind of getting into this year. So, I mean, obviously this year has been odd to say the least, and especially last year. Kind of one of the questions I wanted to kind of ask, I mean, so what have been some of the changes that you guys have had to go through compared to normal years in terms of like your practice schedule, protocols, what kind of changes kind of did you have to do in order to meet the protocols, for NC State and CDC?
I think first and foremost, when everything shut down a year ago, the entire team, and it ranged, but took several months off of gymnastics. And gymnastics is one of those sports that is so uncommon. And so probably not one person on our team had ever done that long of a break. So it was really important to the staff when we all got back in August to make sure that we built up and we acclimated in a manner that was going to really be safe and successful. And so normally we'll be out of season. We won't start our in-season 20 hours a week until at the 3rd week in September. And so we'll do about 8, and then the other 8 will be voluntary. And that starts right when we come to school. So this year, really, we had split practices. They were only doing 8 hours a week. There was no voluntary part of it because we had half the group come the first part and half come the second part. So we were not together as a team for a very long time. We built up to 20 hours a week, and it was about mid-October. So it was well over 2 months after we arrived at school. So that was something very, very different for our team. And we just knew that it was important to take it slow. As far as the protocol, I mean, it's just everything, right? It's virtual school. That's been a huge change. It sounds so simple, right? Do school on Zoom. But, I would say so many people, I mean, they like being with people. And so that's been a challenge, learning in a virtual setting for most of the team. Also, we really reiterate all the COVID protocols as far as staying in the pods. You can't do team meals. Everything is just very, strict, because it has to be in order so that we can keep, our pod, our bubble safe, so we can continue to do the sport that we love. But it's been a challenge. It's been hard. They're college student athletes, but they've embraced, everything and really persevered. And I couldn't be more proud of the way they've attacked what's been asked of them.
Love that.
Coach Landrum. So you mentioned that with, how they felt like they've been had to be somewhat isolated when they've been, trying to compete. Have you noticed in a positive way this year that even though they've been isolated, that you mentioned how they like to be just like normal people, like to be social and spend time with others, that when they go to these meets, that is the most social time they maybe get. Have you noticed that personality come out and seeing them maybe enjoy those meets even more?
Absolutely. I mean, the thrill of competing is something that they live for. And even we were just away at New Hampshire, and so we were able to get a big meeting room. And so the night before the meet, we all got together and we were socially distanced, and they just did, just funny activities, and just enjoyed each other in a way that they could, and just was able to be themselves and dancing and whatever else they did. And so, I mean, that's been such a good, way for them to, just be themselves, because that is one thing that's been a little bit more limited as far as social interactions.
Okay. That's awesome. So one thing I was just looking at, and I noticed your roster, you're pretty balanced from roster, as far as the classes. So you got, I think you said Leighton, so you got 6 seniors, I think 4 freshmen, and it's pretty balanced through that way. And I think those numbers are correct. When you are going to recruit these athletes, what are you looking for when you're trying to find a new incoming freshman to join the program?
I think one of the things we really look at is, are they able, do we feel like they would be very compatible with our culture? Are they buying into our same values? Are they scholar athletes? Do they have those same values that our team embraces, and that mission and that vision? So that's first and foremost, them as a person. And then I would say, of course, gymnastics is important. So how can they impact our team on the gymnastics floor? What's their highlights? And it varies. Some individuals, we look for multiple events. We have individuals on our team that they have one standout event, and they make the lineup, and they're that important piece of the puzzle. And so what we look for gymnastically will vary amongst the individuals. What we look for as a person always embraces, our core values, our mission, and our vision.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. So I know that back in 2018, your first year, actually, my wife and I were actually there. NC State was lucky enough to host the 2018 regional championship. And oh my gosh, I mean, seeing the quality of teams over there, like number 2 LSU, Nebraska, some of those other big guns, Maryland, that were there.
Oregon State.
Yeah, Oregon State. That's right. Yes, and so for those who weren't there, I mean, the Reynolds was sold out. It was packed, and so I mean, one of the biggest things I think I loved is seeing that support for gymnastics, and seeing the support for the sport, and seeing that brought to NC State. So I mean, how much does that excite you? I mean, your first year coming in state and seeing that, that filled out Reynolds Coliseum and seeing the potential of gymnastics here at NC State.
I mean, it was super exciting. That year was so memorable. Michigan also came. It was about mid-February. And I swear it was standing room only. My sister visited and she had no idea what was going to happen at regionals because it was a packed house for Michigan. And then LSU came a couple weeks later. It was our senior meet. And I think that we were over 3,000 there as well. And then, as you mentioned, NCAA regionals was a full house too. And so just, Wolfpack Nation is wonderful, and just all their support means the world. And you really do make a difference when we're out on that competition floor.
Yeah. So Coach, when you talk about these meets that you have, I don't know if, people think about a lot of times somewhat like similar like a track meet where you're competing against others, but sometimes you're focused on, you're more trying to perform at your best. And you're trying to, I guess your gymnastics can be kind of seen as you versus yourself sport, I guess, sometimes, but where you're competing against other teams, but you're also kind of not at the same time. So when your team competes every week, is there ever a time when any of the focus is on what the other team is doing, or what's your focus, your mentality when you go to each meet as far as competing against others go? How does that work?
Yeah, you are right. Everything for postseason qualification comes down to score. And so it isn't about wins and losses. Now, it's always fun to win, but it's not about wins and losses as far as postseason qualification. So I know that when we talk as a staff to our team, it's all about what can we do to better ourselves so that when we go out there, we can get that highest score possible. And for instance, we just went to New Hampshire and we lost against New Hampshire, but I will tell you, it was the proudest meet I've coached this year. The girls did amazing. Like, they were rock stars. And so sometimes, you have to make sure that you just stay in your bubble and you just build from rotation to rotation, routine to routine. And, that routine starts well and you finish with a suck dismount. And so that's really our focus. We need to make sure we attack those details, and it doesn't really matter what the other teams are doing around us.
So is there a way to think about when you go into these different meets? I know there's dual meets, there's tri meets, there's quad meets. Is there, and kind of, I guess maybe you've already answered the question, but maybe not. Is there a different approach to different size events, or is it just a matter of, no, we just take care of business?
Yeah, we just take care of business. We'll have a different rotation schedule. So like Olympic order, you always compete when you're at home. So that's vault, bars, beam, floor. But when you have a dual away meet, you go bars, vault, floor, beam. And then if you have multiple teams in the meet, you'll rotate Olympic order. Your starting event will just differ based on, who's at the competition.
Okay.
And so, one thing too, when you were hired originally back in 2017, there was actually a quote that actually stood out to me made by KJ Kindler, who's the head coach of Oklahoma, saying that he was quoted saying that she knows how hard you will work to execute the vision that you have for NC State Gymnastics. And so one of the questions I had is, so what is that vision? And how close do you feel we are to achieving that goal?
That vision would be first and foremost to make sure that we prepare them for life after college. And I think that if you focus on all of that, you're going to come in the gym, they're going to understand that they're going to be ready to work. And then we're going to be able to see the results. And that would be conference championships. We want to be conference champions, regular season and tournament champs every year. We want to qualify for that second day of NCAA regionals right off the bat. And we want to be ready to qualify for NCAA nationals if that door opens, because it all comes down, to hitting. So we got to first we got to get that bye on day one and qualify for day two. Then from there, we need to be ready on day two for when that door opens to qualify on day three. We have not done either of those that I talked about. And then we can keep kind of climbing. And I think that when you look at where we're at last year before the pandemic, we were very well positioned to have that first round bye. And we were very well positioned to definitely, be in contention to be conference champs. We were regular season conference champs, but I mean at the actual championship competition. And so this year we did lose a lot of routines from last year. And so we are kind of, everybody's had to step up a little bit. As you mentioned, they have done that. Emily Shepard, like you said, have stepped up. We have several different individuals. Nicole Webb is doing a phenomenal job. Senior Casey Nelson has stepped up in a big way. So happy for her successes this year. Katie Cox. I mean, there's so many that I hope I'm not leaving anybody out, but so it's been a total team effort this year. And, and then you sprinkle in our freshmen, Madison Benson and Karina Jordan. Gabby Diaz competed a lot. And so it's taken every individual to kind of contribute to that piece of the puzzle to keep us going where we want to go. And so this year, with the pandemic and just kind of, absorbing the losses of our seniors and just taking this team and building, I would say that this year is a year of growth. Yep. And so we're positioned well. We're right on that bubble right now of, the bye for day one. And so it'll really come down to conference championships because our away scores, we've only had 5 in total. We'll have 5 away meets. Okay. And we've only had 4 right now. And so you can only count this year because of the pandemic, you can count your 2 highest away scores and then your 2 highest other. And so because we've had the same amount of home, you max out at 2 home meets. And so our last 3 meets have been really, really successful. So this weekend, we're really looking to build on that and continue to prepare us for conference championships while we honor our seniors.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Never knew how much of that there was in calculating the scores. That's amazing. And so now we kind of want to get into, because I know a lot of state fans may not really know much about gymnastics and how it works. And I know for myself, I got into it later than I think I wanted to, but a lot of that was thanks to my wife. So one of the questions which I wanted to ask is, so when you're setting the starting lineup, or lineup for each event, I know that there are some gymnasts that will compete all 4 events, which for those who don't know is beam, uneven bars, vault, and floor. And then there's some that, just like you said, do like only specific events or maybe even only one event. What is the strategy when you're kind of thinking that through or processing that? I mean, just curious kind of what the thought process is behind setting that lineup.
Yeah. I think the first lineup spots we always determine is, okay, so who do we want to lead us off? And who do we want to anchor us? And there's different reasons for why you want somebody to lead you off and why you want somebody to anchor. And so whatever the reasoning is for that specific event is kind of how we determine that. And then you fill in the middle. And sometimes you have to mix and match a little bit as far as, this person likes to go a little bit earlier in the lineup. This person, does better in this spot. And so once you can kind of determine what works, you're in a good place. And as I said, every event is different. You do want to build your scores throughout, but it doesn't always mean, that you start off with your least scoring person, because that's not the case at all. I tell my team the 1st and the 6th are very critical, and my first person is always the most important.
Okay. Good to keep that in mind. And then also too, one of the things that I always stands out, especially to fans who have gone to gymnastics meets. And so when you guys do your floor routines, a lot of times because a lot of times those floor, yeah, exactly. Yes. A lot of times it's a mix between dance and actual gymnast, items, or whether it's jumps or flips or whatever it may be. And so when they're dancing, a lot of times the other team members will be lined up and be doing the dances along with them. So I mean, I guess I was curious so is it a requirement that gymnastics are supposed to know, or that gymnasts are supposed to know all of these routines, or is it more for the support of the gymnasts that they're doing it with them?
It's more just we really get into each other's performances. And so it's not a requirement, but we're with each other every day at practice. So you'll learn everybody's routine and, when to say, let's go Wolfpack and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And so it's just like a vibe, right? It just kind of keeps everybody really, really into it, and the energy just continues to grow throughout the routine and throughout the floor rotation by everybody just really throwing themselves into that performance as if we're doing it with them.
Yeah, no, love that. And I mean, it's and for any state fan too, you know, if you haven't gone yet, I definitely do recommend. And it's a lot of fun, and it's amazing to see these athletes and what they can do, and especially in that part, you know, and you'll learn it too as you go in terms of when to put the wolf figures up and all that. So I definitely recommend you can do it along with them. So and then another thing as well is, so I mean, you can, when you look at the 4 events, they're very different from a fan's perspective. You know, they don't seem very similar. But would you say, I mean, coaching each of those events, I mean, is there certain traits that each of them you have to have or be good at in order to be successful in that event? Or are there some traits that can kind of go throughout all of the events, or maybe even multiple events?
You know, that's a good question. I mean, I would definitely say vault is power. You know, the more power you have, the more execution and amplitude you're going to, you know, set forth. On all 4 events, form is extremely important, how you execute your skills. But I would say bars is a little bit more, you know, flowing and elegant. And it's just like, you know, it just is so captivating to watch. Beam, I always say it's like you're an actress and you're just performing up there for everyone. And then floor is showtime. You know, it's a combination of beauty and power.
Right. And then so the next thing is, I mean, so you know, when you guys are making these routines, whether it's floor or uneven or whatever it is there a combination of like, you know, the coaching staff working with the gymnast to decide what they want to do, or is it pretty much just the coach saying, hey, listen, I want you to go and do this, and they go do it, they knock it out?
You know, sometimes it's really easy to be collaborative. A lot of these ladies will come in with a certain subset of skills that they've done for years. So you definitely want to pull from that set of skills to, you know, establish a routine, but we'll change the routine in a way that they're going to execute it, you know, with the most flawless performances. But absolutely, you know, we like their involvement. If somebody, you know, we always ask, like, what have you done in the past? And what have you competed recently? You know, because you just don't know, especially for the little things. And then you always ask the question, so, like, why don't you do that anymore? And that's a very, very important question, because they might say, well, I tried it 3 times and it didn't go good. They might say it was just really hard for me. They might say I constantly got deducted. So whatever they say, like, we really listen, because there's certain things that possibly they could share with us that would be very, very important when, you know, constructing the routine.
Okay, makes sense. And then so and the kind of last one in terms of the getting to know the gymnastics part is more of a question from me specifically, because I've gotten in trouble with this when I've gone to meets with my wife. Is, so, like, a lot of times when you go, like, to football, basketball, etc., like if one of the opponents makes a mistake and we take advantage and go down and score, then it's, you know, everybody's, yeah, like, cheering and hollering. So one of the things that I've gotten in trouble for is when we've gone to a couple different meets, and you'll see one of the other teams make a mistake, whether it's on the uneven bars, they'll fall or something like that. And of course, me as a state fan going, oh, that's good for us, goes, yeah. And then my wife immediately goes, stop doing that, that's embarrassing. And then, like, people look at me and all this stuff. But so I mean, like, what's your thought on? I know, I'm sorry, but I mean, so what's your thought on that, Coach? I mean, in terms of, I mean, you know, if the player doesn't get hurt, I mean, obviously if they get hurt, I mean, that's you know, okay, no cheering. But I mean, if they made a mistake and they get up, I mean, what are your thoughts on that in terms of the cheering of, okay, you know, that's good for us?
We'll say our sport's a little different with that. I think that the read, if we're cheering when somebody else is making a mistake, is just not a good read. However, I totally do understand how the feeling inside could be. I always ask our team not to really pay attention to the other team. So I try to do the same. So a lot of times I won't really know what's going on. I always want to do well. I always want to win, because we're the better team. And so I tend to not let, the other performances, but as a fan, because my husband will say the same thing, as a fan, fans are competitive, just like the gymnasts, just like the coaches.
100%.
Right? So your feelings are real. Outwardly expressing them, typically in gymnastics, is not the best read.
I got you.
Which is where your wife is coming from.
Yes. No,
yeah, that's like there's even like an etiquette that fans kind of need to embrace, just as the teams need to, and it's an interesting thought.
Well, because just like you said, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about more how are we doing more than necessarily how are they doing. Yeah. So I do hear you on that, and so I appreciate that. I know when my wife watches this, she'll be laughing the whole time. So appreciate that, Coach.
We were at NCAA regionals when we hosted, and we pulled ahead of Oregon State on that last event. I mean, our whole team was ecstatic. So I mean, there is something to be said that your performance are going to drive you, and fuel that excitement. And of course, it is based on what the other team does as well. So to me, that's natural.
Okay. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate that. So just to kind of finish off. So I know that, again, this is you're in your middle of your fourth season right now. So just wanted to kind of ask from a personal family perspective, what have been some of you and your family's favorite things to do around Raleigh? I mean, kind of what are some of the things that you've embraced and really kind of enjoy doing with the family?
Well, we've really enjoyed just the outdoors. The Midwest is a lot colder for a lot longer. And so my son is 12 and he's really into baseball. So just being able to watch him play a lot more. I mean, I think he has practice like 4 days this week, which, I mean, it still is really pretty cold for practice in the Midwest. So that's just really been a joy, just like the outdoors and watching him be able to do his sport that he likes a lot more often. And then, I mean, going to the beach, I mean, we just didn't do that. So I love that. We haven't been to the mountains yet, because if I have to choose beach or mountains, I'm choosing beach every time. But just, I always say, like, it's so tranquil here. There's hills and it's just green and it's just beautiful. And so I think just enjoying that ambiance every day, I just love it.
So, I mean, just kind of I know we're getting towards the end of our time here. So just wanted to kind of give you, Coach, the opportunity. If you have any other messages for Wolfpack Nation that you wanted to share.
I just want to, I know you guys are all supporting us virtually right now, and we can't wait till next year when you can get back in Reynolds Coliseum and cheer us on live, and your support means the world to us. Absolutely.
And I know you can expect me and my wife there for sure.
Awesome.
So thank you so much.
Cheering on it every fall.
Yes. And I'm no. Oh wait, no, that's not. So yeah, and I'll drag Macon along with me too. I'll get him there. So, well, thank you so much, Coach. Really appreciate your time. And again, Wolfpack Nation, please make sure to stay tuned in. And again, really support these athletes. I mean, it's just amazing to see the progress so far, and really what great hands this program is in. So, thank you so much again, Coach, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
And hope everybody stays safe.
Thank you so much. Go Pack.
All right, Wolfpack Nation. Hope you all enjoyed that interview. It was absolutely just a blast. I mean, Coach Landrus is such a cool person, and it seems like there's such great potential there with NC State Gymnastics. So definitely, if Wolfpack Nation, if you guys haven't tuned in, I know that obviously COVID right now, they're not allowing fans, but definitely when they do allow fans, make sure to go check them out. It really is a blast. And again, I mean,
I learned a lot in that interview too. I mean, I don't follow gymnastics, I just don't. And
we're going to change that.
And but now I got to change it. I mean, like it was actually learned a lot. And I thought Coach had a really, she had a really good personality too. Really, really fun to talk to. Yeah. So definitely make sure to follow them at Pack Gymnastics and also at Kim Landrus, and we'll have their tags in the description below for those who want to follow them. And again, good luck to them in the postseason. As they go for their a sweep of the championships here for 2021. Great program. Yeah, exactly. So with that being said, thank you all again for tuning in. This is also a reminder that on Wednesday, tomorrow at 7:30, we will be
doing our second live stream. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us through Twitter and Facebook. It's at 7:30. Go from 7:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. So again, that's Wednesday, 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. We will be doing our live stream. And also to make sure, Wolfpack Nation, that to continue to support the local restaurants around NC State, Groucho's, you name it. All those guys really do need our support through these tough times. So, and with that being said, again, just thank you all again for tuning in. Please make sure to subscribe to us by hitting the button in the bottom right-hand corner, following us at Tuffy Talk Now, liking this video, and checking out other content. And with that being said, make sure you all stay safe. Thank you so much, and go Pack.